G'day and welcome to what is hopefully the first of a series of quick and dirty tutorials for the Korg Wavestate. I say quick and dirty because that's what these are going to be. If people like them, then I might up the production values. If nobody watches them, then I probably won't. So in any case, what I want to do in this video is have a look at a kind of a basic patch. So I keep seeing people posting on Facebook or on forums saying, how do I make a basic patch? I've tried X, Y, and Z, but there still seems to be some modulation going on that I can't get rid of. And the answer is always the same. So let's go have a look. I'm on in it, but I just need to refresh it. So we hit perform so that this is lit up. Your value knob will select the performance, and we're going to turn all the way left and choose init performance. So this is the default init patch. You can hear it's got some kind of animation going on, right? Like a sort of a filter opening. But what this is the sample lane. There are two steps active currently in the sample lane. One has a sine wave and one has a saw wave. And when I hold a note, it's going to start crossfading between them. You'll see the little light move. Sine, saw, sine, saw. So first things first, you might want to try changing the loop length. So we're going to grab this knob here, which is the loop end knob. We're going to change that loop length to 1 and try again. Okay, that's good. It's not moving, but you should be able to hear there's still some kind of phasing going on with the sine wave. And what that is again, it's the lanes, it's the wave sequencing and the way it works. If we jump into the timing lane and have a look at step 1, step 1 is a note with a duration of 1 second and a crossfade time of 0.8 seconds. And what that means, when I hit a key, it's going to start playing a note, like an instance of this voice. And at the same time, it's going to start another instance of the voice and begin to crossfade between them. And we can double check this. If we tap the utility button up here and we hold down shift and page over to system stats, there's our sounding voices field, currently 0. I'll play one note and it changes to 2. So that's because it's created two instances to crossfade between those two instances. And the kind of phasing we're hearing are those two sine waves being crossfade. So there's some volume phasing going on. I don't know if the sine waves are in sync or whatever. I'm not that knowledgeable about how the internal architecture of this works, so I don't know, but there is definitely some sort of modulation noise happening, and you want to get rid of that, right? That's why you're here. So the easy way is wave sequence. This button here, tap select, push over to mode, wave sequence, change that to single multi-sample, and then underneath you'll be able to choose the sample, and that will then give you a single sample mapped across the keyboard. You'll have access to all your LFOs, your effects, your filters, your envelopes, your physical controls, but you won't have access to the lanes. They'll all be turned off. And what we want to do, we want the lanes to stay on, okay? Because we can still use them for various things. So we come back to timing. We have a look at the note type. There are 3 note types. There is note, or step type, note, rest, and gate. So note you've heard. Rest is the same as note, except it doesn't make a noise. So it will essentially be a silent voice crossfading into whatever voice is next. And I'll demonstrate that by going to step 2 here. I'm just going to pump up the duration to a second, the same as step 1. I'm going to change the crossfade time to, we'll just go to the same, why not, 0.8. And I'm going to change the loop length to 2. And now you'll hear when I play, when it gets to this note here, it will be silent and it will start fading into step 1 again. Oh, I need to change my length, I think. Oh, no, I just haven't set it to rest. Very silly. Okay, type rest. There we go. There's the rest, there's the note, there's the rest, there's the note. Fantastic. So that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is use the third value called gate. And I will demonstrate by changing step 2 that when the sequencer encounters a gate in the timing lane, it essentially means stop here. Stay on this step until the key is released. So I will play and you'll see the light will move from step 1 to step 2, at which point it won't move any further, it won't go back to step 1, it's just going to stay there. Got to hit this so you can see the light move. So it just stops there, and you may have noticed that actually any modulation has now disappeared and we're just hearing that constant sine. So that's fantastic, that's exactly what we want. So we're going to go to step 1, change the type to gate, bring our loop length back to 1 since we don't need step 2 anymore. That was just my example. And now we have a nice sine wave. It is a bit dull, so what you want to do next is start looking at things like the filter and possibly even something like pitch. So I'm going to use the pitch lane to demonstrate how we can continue to use these lanes when we're in gate mode. If I jump to pitch here now, you can see we've got 2 steps. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple more. I'm going to add 3 more. Now what I'm doing here is essentially I'm trying to emulate a vintage analog polyphonic synthesizer. Now these things often had each individual voice on a separate card. They were basically a synthesizer on a big card mounted into a board with other cards. And what can happen is these cards will go out of tune with each other over time, or due to temperature, the oscillators will drift for many reasons. And provided that that drift is not too big, the sound is actually quite pleasant. So we're going to attempt to recreate that by taking 5 pitch steps and detuning a couple of them slightly. So we can pretend that our 4th voice card is a quarter tone sharp. Why not? Let's make it quite audible. And then when I play a note, you'll see first we've done that. I'm going to play a note, but you'll see it doesn't move. It's not moving because of the gate, okay? So I can hold it down as long as I want. It's not going to move. We have to move it some other way now. And how we're going to do that is by using this note advance button. We'll enable note advance and we'll play here. Still not there. Loop end. Change that to 5. And we can hear, it's a bit hard to hear with the sine wave, but we can hear that that 4th, every time we come around to that 4th voice, it's sharp. So I'm going to change the sample first, just so we can hear that a bit better. We're going to go down to SAW DSP, which is one of my favorites. You can hear that note is a bit sharp. Could even, if I felt like it, change the second one a bit flat. So now we've got a nice little bit of pitch variation. We haven't used our LFOs. Now you can do this a different way through Perform, page over to Program Setup and choose Random Pitch Range, but that's truly random. That's every time you play a note, it chooses a random pitch. By doing it this way, I have some control. It's operating on a cycle. Every 4th note is out of pitch, and I find that a bit more pleasing, particularly with something like an arpeggiator. I'm an octave down. I'm just going to push myself back up an octave. So if I turn off this pitch, I'm going to turn it off by setting the loop end back to 1. There we go, that's my bare sound, and I'll put that pitch variation back in now. There we go, it's back in now. So to me I've exaggerated for this purposes, but even so, I think that's quite nice. I wouldn't normally use a whole quarter tone, but I do think that's even so pretty good. The other thing we want to do is look at the filter. So the Poly 6 filter that we're on right now is very nice. Particularly, I find for chordal sort of sounds. But the resonance is nice too. It does a good kind of, can do a good bubbly sort of sound. We're going to look at the MS-21 today. It's a bit more aggressive. And we can continue to refine the character of that filter using the gain and trim controls. So I'm going to tab down to gain. We're going to set that to high. And the trim, I'll dial back as you hear it. So I'm going to put the arpeggiator on. Just going to hold down sustain there, and then I'm going to start. Put that resonance at about 45%, cut off about halfway, and I'll turn down the trim and you'll hear how the character changes. So I'm all the way down to about 50%. Now you can hear the resonance becomes a lot more pronounced. Filter envelope, use that tap back, turn that sustain down. Now we have a nice classic kind of subtractive synth resonant sequence. Touch of delay. So there we have it, a basic subtractive synth sound. I haven't used any modulation or anything like that apart from this pitch variation we did there. And that's, to my ears, quite a nice sound or a nice starting point for something else. Definitely it is the kind of classic subtractive synth sound that you would be making on a Korg MS-20 or a similar monophonic synthesizer. If you do need to make it mono, by the way, you tap perform, you want to tab across, hold down shift and press the page arrow. You want to get over to the page voice assign. And the first one says mode, poly, I can change that to mono. So here's our poly one, arpeggiator off. And I can change that to mono. A bit of legato if you like to. So a bit of legato will give you that, stop the envelope from resetting on each key press, provided that you're still holding some things down, and you'll have a classic kind of lead solo. So yeah, hopefully that helps you achieve what you want to achieve and gets you, springing into creating new sounds for your Korg Wavestate. So thank you very much. Hopefully you tune in next time. I'm going to cover sequences and using these lanes for some more interesting or different things that really emphasize what the Wavestate is capable of. Thanks a lot. Bye.